It always comes to this. More nice shit. I want to do a bit of a different video here today, guys. This is really not a body mod update or a tattoo progress update or a piercing video. I'm not going to talk about my new fangs. I haven't had any work done since the last one, but I promise this isn't filler. Realistically, this is an episode that's been long overdue on this channel as far as I'm concerned. I wanted to talk a little bit about Remy Reacts, what the show is, where it came from, how it started, why I'm still doing it, what the goal was, the inspiration of it was. You know, I had a podcast on this channel for years. We did that podcast for around 2 years. And before that, I had the vlog series, and I just kind of put up like little videos, clips from my Instagram and TikTok and stuff. Like piercing related tricks, and I would do a little vlog, and they had no average runtime or anything on my channel. Sometimes they were 3 minutes long. My YouTube, I never really had much of a direction for. It was just kind of like, I'm going on another tattoo journey. I had my first black arm when I started my YouTube, but I was starting the bulk of my blackout work when I started my YouTube, and I wanted to make a log of that. So that's basically what my YouTube was. There was no like expectation that I would have an audience or a weekly schedule to it, or content, multiple playlists, different forms of content, an intro. I'd have to be making thumbnails. There was nothing like that. But around the time that I was making my YouTube channel, I was starting to become fairly well known in the tattoo world. Obviously, I had a pretty extensive bodysuit, and it was really upsetting a lot of people that I was blacking it out. And if you ever want to know why I blacked out, I've made 3 videos on the topic, and I made another video in addition to that, the meaning or purpose of blackout tattoos, which is extensive. There's actually a lot more that goes into it than a lot of people think as far as reasoning or purposes of blackout tattoos are concerned. But that all said, I was going on a journey, and I wanted to document it, and I was getting a lot of hate around that time. I still get a lot of hate. I get hate every day. I always say, if I cared what people thought of my tattoos, I would never leave the house. Not that they would ever say it in person, because no one ever does. You know, I work here at a tattoo shop every day now, and I never hear anything but positive. But if you check out my TikTok feed, if you check out a lot of my YouTube comments, my Instagram comments, anytime I go viral somewhere, anytime the Daily Star or Sun or Unilad does a story about me, it's a tsunami of hatred. People insulting my work, insulting the fact that I'm a dad and I should spend more money on my son, and I must be racist, or I hate that I'm white, or I disrespected the artists that did the original work. There's all kinds of lanes that people have been attacking me from for years. So one morning on a podcast, Kevin and I were joking about how much bizarre hatred I get from people who you never encounter in the real world, and just how weird it is because no one who's ever come in here has said anything like that. We joked that, wouldn't it be funny if the guy who blacked out all his tattoos talked shit about everyone's tattoos? Because like, anyone who knows me knows how ruthlessly self-critical I am, and how I'm always working on my tattoos. For example, these are too faint right now. I want to bolden those up. So if I gave that advice to someone, no, I'm giving it to myself is another part of it. But anyway, we joked about how funny it would be having the blackout guy, the guy who must regret everything he's ever done. His tattoos must be terrible because he covered them all up, all that. How funny is it if I'm giving you tattoo advice? And I thought that was pretty funny, but we didn't do it right away. I don't like reaction shows typically. I find them gimmicky and silly, and they're usually over the top and really overproduced, and everyone's afraid to be honest because they don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, and it's a bit of parody. There's a lot of them out there, and almost none of them are honest, and almost none of them are real. So when we finally decided to do it, it was like, I was cautious at first. If you go back and watch the first episodes of Remy Reacts, they were like really restrained because I didn't want to come down too hard, but I don't want to lie to people, and I don't want to be a part of that bullshit either. There's already enough phony crap out there. If I'm going to do this at all, I'm going to be honest and try and be helpful, was my thinking. So anyway, I've had some people, we'll say people to be nice. They're trolls, let's be real. But I've had some people over the years lob criticisms like, how can Remy talk shit about anyone else's work? He has the worst work ever. He's covered up so many bad tattoos. His chest piece, you can't even tell what it is. None of the stuff on his torso makes it. Like, I've had all kinds of that stuff. It's like, you understand that's part of the joke, right? And you know why I can do that? Because I've had that done to me, right? But I do that to myself too. Believe it or not, hearing criticism on your work is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's good to have opposition. It's good to someone challenge you or pose a question to you that you may not have asked yourself. We have an artist here at the shop that, or did have, he left the shop recently to go out on his own, and the quality of his work has gotten stranger as time has gone on because he has no feedback on it. He's working on his own now, and he's going down a bit of an echo chamber. He's never hearing what the outside world thinks of his work. Or, so for example, he's doing high quality work, but the references that he uses, the subject matter is bizarre. It quite often doesn't make sense. And it's not that I'm upset or sorry for the people he's tattooing. It's more like, if he had somebody to talk it over or critique or go over it with him, the quality of work would be probably better overall because he'd be getting a different view of it. So that's primarily what the Remy Reacts was always about. It wasn't just about taking a shit on people's work for no reason, although there are some times where someone will send something that was obviously meant as comedy. And they'll even say as much in the emails, but that was not the intention of the show. The intention of the show was like, I hear from so many people about how bad my work is. I've been ruthlessly self-critical about my work. This isn't judgment, this is me, and that's why when we do these critiques, Kevin and I, the co-host, we're always giving our ideas on what you could do better or how you could improve it. We're always doing that with my work too. So it doesn't come from a place of hate or nastiness or pettiness or anything like that. It comes from a place of like legitimate concern or wanting tattoo work overall to improve. That's part of why I've been sharing my journey in general, is to show the reality of it and how things aren't perfect right away, and if you work on them, they can be better. What a big part of the problem is a lot of people, they'll send their work in, they're just hoping for praise, or they think that the world will see their work the way they do. Now, if my journey can say anything on that matter, it's definitely not the case, because when I was blacking out my tattoos, people thought I was completely nuts. I had lost my mind. You know, I was getting rid of so much good work. Whether the quality of that work was 10 out of 10 or not, it was a hell of a lot better than what blackout is. So there on its own, we see that our opinion on things is different from the world's opinion on things, and it's good for the world to have input on that now and then. Now, I'm not saying I enjoy all trolls, but they do serve a purpose to some extent. Now, how this correlates is going forward, you know, I've become more and more comfortable with giving critique because I get more and more critique now working on the third layer than I've ever had. I have so many people thinking, you know, the roses were a bad idea. It's too basic. The chest piece is incomprehensible. It should have been more basic. It should have been more readable, whatever. All of those opinions are welcome if they're from a place of decency. If you're coming at me just to attack me, that's different than offering advice. I've never once come after someone just to attack them. That's not the goal of the show. The show is instructive feedback, going over the options, you know. Sometimes it would be better if you blacked it out, started over. I think I've proven that. I like the direction of my new suit more than the old suit, and that was facilitated by blackout. That being said, no, my old tattoos weren't that bad. So for the people who were like, how is the guy who's gonna black out all his old work gonna shit on anyone else's work? Well, my old work wasn't that bad. For a lot of people, they would have lived with that suit forever. So, at the end of all of this, I like to think that Remy Reacts is just a bit of a different thing. You know, I like that the show has stayed honest and it's not afraid to hurt people's feelings now and then. It's not meant to, but sometimes feelings need to be hurt. You know, sometimes that's the only way people can see. And again, if I was to take it all personally, I would never leave the house again. You go check any of my TikTok videos that are pinned to the top of my page, and you tell me who's heard more. You tell me how much criticism you'd want to hear about your work on a daily basis. Trust me, I've heard it. So, but if you're sending me your tattoos, you're not going to get a phony review. You're not going to get coddled. You're not going to get a pat on the back when you've done things poorly or when your work needs improvement. Because quite frankly, that's not what that show is. So, yeah. Anyway, I hope this hasn't gone too much into the weeds. I wanted to do a bit of a rant about Remy Reacts. I don't think this is going to help because most of the people who make these sorts of attacks on the show, they don't have the attention span to make it this far into a video to begin with, and most of them just see the way I look and lash out. But for the people who have watched this, I hope it's fleshed out just what Remy Reacts is and what it was intended to be, just a little bit more. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day.